Today we're working on a new tool. It's an old tool, but we are working on a repair for a tool that makes a 4-cavity tool that makes this leg. It's a furniture leg for a local process company for recliners and couches, chairs. It's just a small leg. It actually makes a another leg that's a little bit longer. This is a 2.5. The other is a 3.5, and these will be the cores, so you can see the length difference in those. And what has happened is, if you look in here, you can see the plastic is stuck in the rib right there. If I can focus in on that up. But you have the pins that are seized up in the core itself. So the first thing we'll have to do is remove this pin here, which is seized. So what I'm probably going to have to do is machine this flush to this surface and then drive the pin from the back forward. And we're going to take and machine new pins. These are non-beryllium, but they act as a beryllium type of copper. These were bought from PCS. It's a mold making or a mold components and mold based distributor. But we're going to take these pins and cut the tapers and cut them to length and reinstall them to the proper length with new O-ring holes or baffle holes. The water that cools this pin will actually come through and will travel up to a certain distance into the pin and then come back out and move over to the next core. But what we have to do is we'll have to drill the hole for the baffle, and then we'll have to put an O-ring groove on the end of this pin here. And on the inside where the molding area of this pin, it will have to have a taper. So and it's going to create this hole that's right here. Oh, if I can get you into the camera, it'll creates this hole here, but it has to have a taper. And I think it's we're going to put like 1/4 degree. So it'll be a combined 1/2 degree from it will come from the bottom of this rib to the top. So when this tool is ejecting the part, it's going to eject it without dragging. So it'll be a lot easier. And the way this part is ejected, it's a stripper. We call it a stripper plate, and this fits up into the stripper plate. And when the part gets finished molding, it will strip off the part like that. But it'll be more explanatory as we get along into the project. But here we go. And I had to reverse the old pins that were in the tool and threw these out in SolidWorks. It's just a simple pin. Like I say, this is one of my first videos, so we're going to see how these go, and I'm sure that things will get better, and the production of the videos will get better as I go. But bear with me a little while, and I'm trying to make these as good a quality as I can, and then just help them, or hopefully they get better. All right, here we go. We're going to go to the shop and start working on this, and we'll go over the tool and what shape it was in whenever it came into the shop, and we'll I keep looking at my phone, and I need to make a mental note to look at the camera, and because the display is here and the camera is here, so I'm trying to see how well I'm trying to view myself in the video in real time, and I need to break that habit. So, but here we go. We're going to go out into the shop and break open the tool and explain a little bit more in detail of how the tool is set up to run these parts. Okay, here we are out in the shop now. We're going to go over the tool. Well, we're in the assembly shop where I kind of assemble the tools when we get to the point. It's a little quieter, but it's a little smaller in here. But if I have the machines running in the other part, I can't really do a good video, and typically all I have in this side is I got a bridge port here, and I got a small south bend there that I kind of that's one of my first lathes that I had, and I just usually use it for touch-up work or polishing. It's actually pretty accurate. I just got a little cheap dial indicator on here. It came from Oak Ridge, but it's really old, but it still holds its value pretty good, and it's a necessity for what I'm doing here. It helps whenever I go to assemble the tools and just doing touch-up work. But and this is the old Bridgeport. This is one of the first Bridgeports I ever had. So, but anyway, here's the tool, and the way the tool is put together is we have the cores I was showing earlier, and these will come through. Oh, no dings, but they'll line up in here. This will be your stripper plate here, and first things first is here. This will be your clamp plate. Anyway, these cores will fit, and you have the baffles that run up, so your cooling come in, hit a baffle, push up into this core, push the water back down, we'll move over, come into this baffle, come back up, come down, and then move on over to this core, and then do the same thing, and then it comes out. So it's like a radiator, a cooling system. And these will be the baffles for the pins. As you can see, we have to put a hole into the pin that the water will come up through this tube, cascade around on the inside of that hole, to cool the copper pin, and then come back down and then out. And we'll move over to the next one, then out. And the same goes for these bottom. And these are just standard threaded. They have a thread on the back baffle. It's a pipe thread. So, and I think these would be a 1/4 inch, maybe 1/8 inch. Yeah, these are 1/8 inch baffles. So, that would be 1/8 inch pipe tap is what you would tap the backside. And if you look here, that's where they were just got a hex head. And this would be your A side. This would be the cavity side. And you can see part would fit in like that. Plastic come in. It's got a tunnel gate that goes down, and then this will come back with the other half, and then eject, and then fall onto a conveyor in a tub. But as far as the pins go, we have them laid out here, and I have a height gauge set up to where I just give a rough height. So these would be like so. And these will be for the 3-inch pins, and so they're going to be a little bit longer. But the process of cutting those off will be, I'll just take a Sharpie permanent marker, or you can use Diacom or what have you, and then scribe my line here. And since these are copper, a lot of times if I use an ejector pin, or I will set one up into the surface grinder with an abrasive wheel, and then to get as close to the witness line as I can without grinding it too far back, just to get a rough cut, just so you don't have as much grinding to length on the surface grinder whenever you cut these things to length. So, but the way I do these copper ones is I just got a little small saw set up. Got an edge here that my vise will ride against, and I put the pin in like so, just with an edge, and I take, when I clamp that down, then I can take and just push it through the saw as so. And I will demo one of these whenever I get to doing that again. So like that. Once it's clamped up, it's flush to the side, you can just take and run it through the saw, just like that. And what that does is it leaves me about 20 thou. I don't know if you can see that line or not. It leaves me about 20-30 thou to clean up. And these being some like an Ampco beryllium type of pin, these are very tough to drill with a standard drill, very tough to machine. They have nickel in them. But what I do is typically I order, or I get carbide tipped drills, and when I set them up, I set them in the CNC, and I'll just peck that to get the depth, because they get so hot by the time you drill to depth. A lot of times you break a pin or break a drill bit in them. So, and the best way I've found to do it is drill them with a carbide tipped. Usually it's a 3/16 drill. So, but anyway, I'll get to cutting these here, and we'll go from there. Oh, and instead of setting up on the height gauge, an easy way is I know when I go into here, like so, I know that the height is the same height as that. So that marks it pretty well there. We're just, that's like I said, we're just getting a rough cut. I've got to finish cut these on the lathe and then the grinder, surface grinder to length. And we'll put a stack height of gauge blocks to indicate across the top to make sure that we're top is the same here and here. There we go. And yes, we could cut these off with, we've got a horizontal saw here, but by the time we have to clamp all this up and everything in there, I've just got this small little setup here. Just put the pin in like so. And we'll be just running through like that.